And regarding the most demanding use cases, I think that smart parking will continue to grow in the outdoors because it fits. It completes the three pillars of what a smart city should be looking for. You make citizens happier. You reduce traffic and the carbon footprint, and you can increase the revenue of the city by
Right.
matching offer and demand at all times.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the IoT For All podcast presented by IoT For All, the number one publication for the Internet of Things. I'm your host, Ryan Chacon. If you're watching this on YouTube, we truly appreciate it if you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already. If you're listening to this on a podcast directory like Apple Podcasts, please subscribe so you get the latest episodes as soon as they are out. All right, on today's episode, we have Alicia Asin, the CEO of Libelium. They are a complete IoT solutions company that focuses on designing and manufacturing wireless sensor network devices so that system integrators, engineers, consultancy companies can deliver reliable IoT and smart city solutions with minimum time to market. Fantastic episode, a lot of fun. She is a great guest. We talk a lot about the current smart city landscape. We talk about where this landscape is headed, the technology that's kind of leading the way in the smart city space, challenges facing smart cities, how to fix those challenges, and what she is most excited for going into this new year. But all in all, fantastic episode that I think you get a lot of value out of. But before we get into it, any of you out there are looking to enter the fast-growing and profitable IoT market, but don't know where to start? Check out our sponsor, Leverage. Leverage's IoT solutions development platform provides everything you need to create turnkey IoT products that you can white label and resell under your own brand. To learn more, go to iotchangeseverything.com. That's iotchangeseverything.com. And without further ado, please enjoy this episode of the IoT For All podcast. Welcome, Alicia, to the IoT For All podcast. Thanks for being here this week.
No, that's a pleasure. Delighted to be here.
Yes, it's great to have you. Let's kick this off by having you give a quick introduction about yourself and the company to our audience.
Well, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Libelium, which is a company established in Spain 16 years ago, before the IoT was even a term. By the moment we created the company, the term was wireless sensor networks. We started by creating sensor devices, all kinds of devices with all kinds of magnitudes. And across this journey of 16 years, we've been expanding our technology in more than 140 countries all over the world, and expanding to give more value into the solutions, not only providing the hardware pieces, but also the device management for those devices and also some specific applications. And today, Libelium is playing a role as a solution provider in agri-food, sustainability, and smart cities.
Fantastic. So since you've been in the space for over 16 years now, what have you seen, kind of some of the biggest changes from when you got started founding or co-founding this company until now? What have been some of the biggest things that have kind of stood out to you over that time?
Well, curiously, I think that the IoT, because we saw the IoT were born, we've been growing and evolving as the IoT. So when we were in the phase of being a very newborn startup, I think that was matching the status of the IoT in the market. So before 2010 or so, it was all about the revolution of the maker platforms. So we have all those companies like Sparfan, Adafruit, Seed Studio, who continues in China, for providing all kind of stuff for makers and hobbies. And it was a revolution because it aligned with the launch of crowdfunding platforms as well. And it was like, oh, suddenly making hardware is sexy again.
Right.
After that, there was a phase which I call the age of smart cities, phase one. And we saw a big hunger for many cities and city managers for claiming they have the biggest number of sensors in their city. So it was a time about quantity, not quality, not thought, not direction. And you have like all the projects were driven by the one IT guy, not aligning with anyone else, and not really understanding the about the potential of what a smart city
Right.
should be. And now we are in a new phase of the IoT, where I think that we've seen a much more sophistication in the business models, not only in the kind of projects and in the kind of value propositions, but also in the way that companies are approaching the market.
Absolutely. I've seen very similar kind of growth even in only the 6 years that I've been in the space. You've been in the space obviously much longer than I have, but just seeing how far it's come in 6 years with how companies kind of viewed IoT solutions, how even like municipalities and cities viewed incorporating smart technology into their city, what the real benefits were, what they were really trying to solve, what implementation was like. And I think a lot of that has also, or a lot of things that have also helped, is around this the mature or the growth of a lot of the technologies, and a lot of these technologies maturing. And as we start to see more use cases deployed and become successful, that kind of provides a good case study for a lot of cities, organizations around the world to understand how this technology truly can be used for the benefit of not only the end user, but also solving other problems that they have, which I think is very fascinating.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if we talk a little bit about the smart city landscape here for a second, obviously you've kind of already highlighted that it's changed a ton since you got into the space until now. But as it sits today, where are we when people think about smart cities? Because I think there's a lot of talk around it. There's still a lot of questions to be answered. Where do you kind of view us as or view smart cities as an industry, and where it kind of currently sits right now?
Well, it differs a lot from municipality to municipality. That's one characteristic of this market. But I would say that number one, we have more understanding inside the cities, inside the municipalities, about what they are trying to pursue. So 10 years, 15 years ago, when we were talking about smart cities, very often you found that IT guys were designing solutions that were meant to be used by lighting guys, by traffic guys, parks and garden guys, but they were not they were not involved in the solution design. And now that's changed, and very often you see more preparation in part of the for the municipalities. But still, there are many challenges and many questions to be solved. Interoperability is one of them, and it's really difficult for cities to put all the pieces together and to understand the implications of designing their city with one vendor or with another one, depending on the vendor lock-ins that each vendor may include in the proposal. And then there's also a big fear of in the part of cybersecurity. And I'm very critical whenever I talk about cybersecurity, because I believe it's something we are not really paying attention to. Everyone says that he or she is concerned about that, and you will always find lots of requirements. But I think that we must be more demanding during the implementation phase, because in many cases, not only in smart cities, I'm talking also in private companies.
Sure.
Some projects are deployed just by expanding the proof of concept developed. And in a proof of concept, you never implement all the security mechanisms.
Sure.
It's like when you have a pilot house, a demo house, you never start the visit talking about the door and the security lock. You just get into and assume that, of course, there will be a door and it will be closed the day I buy the house. So that's the effect we need to contrast.
So talking about some of the topics you've already mentioned, interoperability and security.
Yeah.
Aside from those, what do you see as some of the other biggest challenges that smart cities are facing? And then also on top of that, what is your advice or kind of suggestions on how these security or sorry these challenges, security, interoperability, and other ones you can mention, how we can overcome them and kind of prepare for them and make them less of a challenge than they were kind of in the past?
Okay, well, regarding the security and interoperability, I think they are the challenges that are more in the side of vendors and technology companies. So in those cases, I see that companies are trying to become more sophisticated and offering more broad solutions. I'm seeing that this is a result of a initial movement of lots of M&A movements
Yep.
and a concentration moment in the market due to the situation, which will create and allow companies to be more broad and offer more complete solutions. Of course, all kinds of standard definitions and for example, Libelium is part of the FIWARE Foundation. The participation of companies in frameworks and platforms like that also definitely helps, because those
Mm,
are platforms aggregating different vendors to
right.
create those types of standards for smart cities. In the case of in the side of the municipalities, I think the biggest challenge is accept the we are entering into a new age ruled by data, and that can lead us to datacracy, which I think it's something good indeed, where our governments need to be more used to accountability. The more data you have, the more tools you have to demonstrate whether you are making good or bad decisions, and that should be used to empower citizens. We shouldn't leave the smart city speech only in the technical side. We should
Sure.
take it beyond that
Right.
to the citizen side and see what's really going on. And one last important thing, if you allow me,
Of
would be
course.
in the quality of data. Because
Mm,
if we are using data to make new decisions in our cities, and we want to use those data to even evaluate our governments, we should ensure that the data has a really good quality.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that's been a problem for many years is just getting quality data that that people know how to use and how to find value in it. And if without that, it's the use cases provide no value and are hard to justify spending the money. Um, is there are there any kind of characteristics of a city that makes one city more kind of ripe for smart city integration and technology, like smart technologies being brought in? Like, do you kind of view certain city makeups, locations, even the overall strategy that the municipality has, being more maybe forward leaning into technology, helping? Like, what do you think are some of the big characteristics of a city that make it more primed to adopt smart technologies and really see success?
Um, I think for sure a city needs to have a very global vision and a global approach of the smart city, and involve um, a multidisciplinary team in the design of all the services they want to pursue. All the main benefits of smart cities use cases are three, basically. You can increase revenue in the city or
Hmm.
reduce costs, like for example in smart parking applications or smart lighting.
Right.
You also reduce the carbon footprint and make the city more sustainable. And here you have all the use cases for traffic monitoring, traffic congestion, and monitoring air quality, and make decisions to to make to drive and divert traffic to avoid congested areas.
Right.
And finally, you also need to to put attention on making citizens' life happier and better. So the cleaner you have the air, the less time you spend driving around searching for a parking spot, the best. So if you use those KPIs and those goals
Mm.
in all the services, I think that's a strategy to start building all the use cases and evaluate how are they impacting in each of these three pillars for smart cities.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. Yeah, I think that's great kind of approach for companies to be, or sorry, for cities to be thinking, and kind of very well outlines the cities that are most likely to see success. Now, let me ask you, as we kind of look forward into the future of the smart city space, where do you think we're headed? What do you what kind of technology is really leading the way? And on top of that, what use cases do you see becoming the most popular to kind of take smart cities from where it is now into something that I think a lot of us have truly envisioned over the years, hoping we can get to?
Well, that's a lot of things in the same question. Trying to make it short, regarding technologies, I think that we will see cellular technologies for
Mm.
connectivity dominating the space, at least in smart cities, because they have the big advantage of relying on a public network infrastructure, which is always better in terms of cost and
Sure.
maintenance in the long term. And I'm putting here all the protocols from NB-IoT to 4G and 5G, of course, in the future. So the whole suite of them.
Mm.
And and regarding the most demanding use cases, I think that smart parking will continue to grow in the outdoors because it fits. It completes the three pillars of what a smart city should be looking for.
Mm.
You make citizens happier. You reduce traffic and the carbon footprint, and you can increase the revenue of the city by
Right.
matching offer and demand at all times.
Mm.
So what we will be seeing is a bigger sophistication of these kind of use cases, but maybe introducing not only the guidance but also the dynamic prices, policies, or also the abilities to be able to bid for a parking spot and to regulate the amount of traffic congestion at a certain moment. Smart lighting is also a strong use case, not one in which Libelium has a big presence, honestly,
Sure.
but we are seeing that in many countries that's also expanding.
Yeah.
And the other one is monitoring the air quality, because even although you don't have a direct relationship between the pollution and the economical impact. There are
Right.
lots of studies correlating the pollution levels of a city with the public health spend in the same city due to the
Hmm.
increased respiratory diseases and things like that. So I think that we will see more attention on those use cases, and even in the case of air quality, we will be able to make a better and real-time planning for
Mm.
cities. So seeing not only what's going on right now, but also being able to forecast what the pollution levels will be in 24 hours according to
Sure.
the atmospheric parameters, and
Sure.
apply prices. So then that's the line where Libelium is today offering solutions
Mm.
in not only showing what's going on, but helping to change the picture when we don't like it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic stuff there. I guess one question that came up while I was listening to you kind of tell us about the use cases and kind of the future of the space. Because I haven't had too many guests talk about this, but how do you see IoT helping transform the way that the citizens of a community, of a city, interact with the city itself? So, local authorities, other organizations, things like that. How do you see that happening? That's something that I'm very curious to kind of hear your thoughts on.
Well, I think that's something necessary, and for sure we will not have smart cities or fully smart cities if we don't use technology to change the way that cities are communicating with citizens. That's for
Okay.
sure. But I can give you a beautiful example of
Sure.
technology empowering citizens. It happened
Yeah.
in Fukushima right after the tsunami and the nuclear accident in 2011. We designed in a record time a Geiger counter so that citizens could monitor by themselves the radiation levels in the places
Mm.
where they were living. And we sent some boards to the Tokyo Hackerspace and to several hack spaces, and they just shared with some hackers and makers. Just 2 weeks after that, without anyone coordinating the movement, spontaneously, all the people accessing a Geiger counter were starting to share the information into a platform on the internet. That
Mm.
was Apache B by the moment. I think that was the name of the platform. It's a long time ago. And the nice thing about that was that citizens were keeping an independent real-time map of the radiation levels in the
Oh,
city,
wow. Wow.
and they were feeling empowered because what we were trying to fight was against the misinformation. Sometimes where you suffer in a disaster like that, you may feel that maybe you are not having access to the full information, maybe um, because media are trying to show you one specific part of the problem, maybe because you have government has some issues to deal with, or if the radiation levels come from the company, some people may not be comfortable, or maybe
Right.
they can trust.
Right.
So we were not only proving that citizens wanted to be involved and could be empowered by using technology, but also it proved to be uh, a self-corrective method, because by having one one map with multiple sources, that was very easy to identify spurious data. So
Yeah.
if someone was trying to inject data that was not aligned with the rest,
Hmm.
automatically you could question that source
Right.
exactly in the way that Wikipedia works.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
I still think this is one of the most powerful stories about the IoT I've ever seen, and it's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, I haven't heard that story, and but I mean, the whole time you were telling it, I was just more and more fascinated with not just the technology of what's capable of, but just the way that the citizens kind of rallied together and crowdsourced this information, basically, and kind of used each other as checkers for what is factual and what is not when it came to these levels, in order to help their community and help those in their community. So that's a perfect example. It's such a good one, and I'm sure we're going to see lots and lots of other ones in different areas of the world, covering different problems and challenges that arise. But it's going to take companies that really understand the technology and how to put these things together, like what you all do, to make it possible and put this in their hands for them to be able to benefit um, from solutions like this. So that was a fantastic example. Last thing I wanted to ask you before I let you go here is just looking forward. What are you most excited about in the space? What kind of catches your attention? And it makes you all pretty excited about what's to come.
Well, I'm most excited with the connection between IoT and blockchain,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that it can totally change everything.
Mm-hmm.
So by transforming by design, IoT devices are natural oracles to be able to trigger lots of processes, and I'm very excited about all the potential of the joining IoT, AI, and blockchain.
Yep.
So, for example, the revolution that we can see in the insurance sector, for example, with those parametric primes, where one sensor can not only trigger the alert of something that has happened, like a river flood in your
Right.
shop, or a fire, but also send the right information about the status of that disaster, and automatically issue the compensation and order
Mm,
transfer, a bank transfer to the user, can revolutionize the efficiency of those processes, the user experience, and the way that we can relation with other companies. So I think that's what keeps me more excited right now.
fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been a great conversation. I know you all have been working pretty hard to put out more content and things to kind of keep educating the market. You have a Connected Human Report white paper. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is, and kind of what it's focused on, kind of sharing with the world?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Connected Human Report is the response that we have after observing that some parts of the society are maybe fearing of technology in some
Mm,
cases. So, what we wanted to show is that technology is something amazing,
yeah.
but we must never forget that technology is made by humans, and it must be used to solve human challenges.
Right.
So this is a series of 3 reports. The smart cities one is the first one,
Mm,
and we want to showcase how technology is being used by people to solve their problems, and we are trying to outline those use cases where people are at the center of those solutions. And
right.
in the following months, we will be publishing a similar one focused on sustainability, and we will finish with one focusing on agri-food as well. So you will
Fantastic.
find all of them in our website.
Great. Great. Well, thank you so much again for taking the time here. Fantastic topics I think we got to cover today, and kind of your expertise, experience, and just the knowledge that you have in the space. I think our audience is going to get a ton of value out of. So thank you so much again, and really appreciate your time, and look forward to hopefully having you back at some point to keep the conversation going.
Whenever you want. Happy to be invited.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thanks again for watching that episode of the IoT For All podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please click the thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel, and be sure to hit the bell notification so you get the latest episodes as soon as they become available. Other than that, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.